It's April 15th. It's quite warm outside. It's 82 degrees. It's maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We have not had any significant rain in quite some time. I'm going to do a hive inspection. I thought about lighting some pine straw so I could use the smoker, but I've decided against it. It's just too dry, and I think there's too much of a risk of some sort of a fire getting out of control. So we're going to do, I'm going to ad hoc, and I'm just going to kind of open up the hive today without using any smoke, and I'll just see how it goes. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. This hive here, these boxes, it's very interesting. I can hear them humming inside as I get my ear close. But the boxes exist from last year, and the boxes are filled with frames, and most of the frames also exist from last year with fully drawn out fully drawn out comb. So frames with fully drawn out comb in boxes from last year, but the honeybees that are in here are from this year. It's a nook that arrived just a couple weeks ago. So I think what's happening inside this box, what I hope is happening, is the bees that live here now, because of the drawn out comb, they have less work that they have to do to achieve their goals. But I'm going to open up these boxes in just a moment, and we're going to peek inside and see what's going on. We're going to find out what happens. Thanks. There's definitely a few things that I want everybody to know right up front, is that I am in full-blown learning mode. This is my second year as a beekeeper, and I am a student of honeybees. I am by no means somebody that you should be getting any advice from. So I hope, if I have a goal for this video or for these videos that I make, it's, maybe you're interested in watching honeybees, watching how I grow as a honeybee keeper. I'll make good decisions and I'll make bad decisions. I'll certainly misinterpret what I see in this box. So keep that in mind, and please enjoy the ride. Okay, so I'm preparing to open up this box, and again, this box, or these boxes, represent a honeybee hive, a colony, that just arrived as a nook just a few weeks ago. But the boxes themselves are from last year, from an unsuccessful hive, or my unsuccessful attempt to keep a hive alive over the course of the winter. The boxes themselves have drawn out comb on the frames, on most of the frames. So I'm looking in here to see if the bees are taking advantage of that, and hopefully their job is a little easier since half of the comb, half of what they need is already built out. So let's see what happens as we open up this box. I'm gonna have to get my hive tool because the bees like to seal everything tightly closed. I can already tell that components of the box are sealed tightly closed by the bees. If you listen closely, you might hear the cracking noise. I really do like that noise. But that noise also alerts the bees that the beekeeper is here. Okay, this top box has honeybees in it. I'm going to start to pull out some frames. In fact, I think what I might do is I might take this box off and go down to the one below, because I put this box on last night. In some ways, I'd prefer to take a peek and see what the bottom box is up to, or the middle box. I am using a queen excluder on this box, so I don't have a huge fear or an overwhelming fear that the queen is up in this upper box. The queen should be down here in the brood box. Again, drawn out comb with bees doing their stuff on it. Looks like they're building some sort of a little cell on the bottom part of the frame. I don't know if that's a swarm cell or not. Moderate amount of activity. I'm going to take this frame out right here, hold it up to the camera so you guys can see what's going on it. It's got a small to moderate amount of activity. Seems like the bees are building. They're building for their future here using the drawn out comb from last year. Let's take one more look here, or let's take a look at this last frame before we seal it up. Not much going on this frame, but this is an outer frame, and I've noticed that the outer frames generally have less activity than the inner frames. A little more activity on this side. They still have sugar water in there, and I gave that to them about a week ago. That's suggesting to me that there's a nectar flow and that the bees are not relying on the sugar water at all. This is a top box that I put on yesterday because I was worried that they didn't have enough space, and that without enough space, there could theoretically be some swarming activity that could occur. I don't know if I'm right about that or not, but I'm gonna look through this top box just a smidge bit and see what's going on in here. These frames here don't have any activity on them at all. This frame seems to, and this does have a little bit of drawn out comb on it. Let's pull it out and just see. Just a very, very small amount of activity. Maybe I was premature in adding the third box, maybe, who knows. But it's good to see that they're up here and they at least found the frame. and that they're hanging out and chilling up here and doing their stuff. Similar activity, I'm just going through real fast, similar activity on all of these frames here. Just a small amount of bees chilling, doing their work. Small amount of bees chilling, doing their work. All right, let's seal this up and prepare to move on to the second hive. By the way, I'm not going down into the brood box, partially because it's kind of hot. It's almost too hot for me to get involved in that. And the brood box is where the queen is located. And there's going to be a lot more bees down there. But I think what I have found is you have to really be in the mood to go into the brood box, because there's much higher risk in the brood box that you'll do damage to the queen. And if you do damage to the queen, then you've done damage to the whole hive. So I'm going to seal this box up and move on to the second box, and then sit down and think it through a little bit, figure out what the next steps are going to be. Okay, getting ready to open up this box. This box is strange because this box, like the other, exists of a colony of bees that's new this year, but the boxes are also new and the frames are new, and there's nothing in these boxes that was built up from a previous year. So it's going to be an interesting comparison to see what's going on inside here. You know, when compared to the box that we just opened up and looked at. Like the other box, I see that the feeder, which is filled with 1-to-1 sugar, sugar water, 1-to-1, does have some bees that are interested in it, but this was filled probably 7 days ago, and it's only half consumed, so they're not really taking much from there at all. Let's open up some of the top frames and see what's going on here. And again, this might be another one of those situations where I prematurely put the top, a top box on, but I was worried that they were going to, that the bees would get crowded fast and then need space, and there wouldn't be any space, and that they would swarm. So, kind of what I expected here. This hive has minor, if anything, it's just negligible bee activity on it. Again, what I kind of expected. Let's get towards the middle of these frames and see what's going on in there. A little more activity as I get closer toward the middle, a little more activity. And I'll probably pull the next one out so you can see it. Again, not a huge amount of activity, but a little more. But they haven't drawn out anything at this point. But as I look down, oh, interesting, as I look down at the queen excluder, I can see that the queen excluder is being covered by, I guess, propolis, which is really interesting. So minor activity here, minor activity right here. But the queen excluder is going to have to be moved at some point and cleaned out. Otherwise, it's going to block the bee's ability to get through. Maybe I will try to show you that in just a second. Okay, so I'm getting ready to take this top box off, which is going to expose the brood chamber with the queen excluder on top of it. Well, that is interesting. What I see here is a lot of, looks like propolis being built up on top of the queen excluder, or sealing the queen excluder, so that the whole purpose of the queen excluder is so that the queen can't get through up into the supers, which are the top boxes, and that comes probably about as close as possible to guaranteeing that the queen is always in the brood box, which is the lower box, which is what you're seeing now. Let me zoom in on this a little bit and see if you guys can see that. All of that yellowish white stuff I think is propolis, which is the bees trying to seal themselves shut. Or maybe it's comb. To be honest with you, I don't really know. But I do know that if it continues, it's going to cause problems for bees. We want the worker bees to be able to pass through the screen to come up into the supers. So if that were to get sealed up, that would pose problems. It's interesting to me that it all exists in the area of the original Nook, the 5 frames that came with the Nook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the black frames right there. So I guess that demonstrates to me where most of the activity in the hives remains, in these center frames, which are the original 5 frames of the Nook. Again, I'm not going to open this up right now because the brood chamber is usually a different game. It's a different type of animal, and I think the beekeeper has to be in the right mood to do it. I'm not sure if I'm in the right mood. So I'm going to keep that sealed, and I'm going to start to close this back up and seal it up and think about what I've seen today and maybe share some ideas with you guys. All right, so it's time to put the box back on and let these bees continue with their life as unaffected as possible by the intrusions of the beekeeper. We take this middle box here, or the top box, which is again called the super. Place it down gently. Make sure everything is sealed up and that there are no inadvertent misalignments that would allow predators or other bees or anything to get in there and hurt the bees or steal from the bees. Inner cover, which helps with ventilation. Same idea, make sure it's sealed up nice and good so that there are no inadvertent access points for other creatures to get in there. Top box, which has one little honeybee in it. It'll find its way back in. That's it for now. So thinking more about what I saw today in the bee boxes, I feel like I'm haunted by what happened last year when my 2 hives were robbed by other bees in late fall and they did not make it into the winter. So I'm hyper obsessed, hyper vigilant with the health of the bees, and I think I also rushed the bees. I want them to produce the things that they need for the future faster. So I prematurely put boxes on top of boxes, supers on top of the brood. The secondary boxes, I don't think they need to be there. I need to think about that in the future. When I opened them up, they were really only used by, I don't know, a very small percentage, maybe 5% in use by bees. So that percentage is just too small to justify their presence, I think. So I need to slow it down and stop obsessing about the bees and stop expecting them to perform faster and behave more vibrant than they are. I think they'll be okay. I just have to be a little less neurotic about how everything turns out with the bees. I'm really glad that you guys stuck with the video. Thank you very much. I'm learning as I go. I appreciate you guys. Bye-bye.